Sarasvati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Me Sada.
In Kaivalya Upanishad, Lord Brahma is the Guru and Ashwalayana is the disciple. It is very relevant that we invoke the blessings of Goddess Saraswati in this context because tomorrow is Sarasvati Puja. In Hinduism, all the important key portfolios are in the hands of Goddess. Wealth is Goddess Lakshmi is the in charge of wealth. Power is in hands of, you can say, defense ministry, finance ministry, or HRD ministry. All these three are very important ministries. All these three are handled by great goddesses. From Vedantic point of view, we know that it is all in the form of a power, and every power is feminine in nature. Maya is the Shakti or power of Ishvara. Maya is feminine in its form. The power and the person wielding the power, they are not separate from each other. This is a very important concept as it is, you have to remember always. Now, Saraswati as a concept is worshipped in the Navaratri in South India, but in Bengal she has a very separate worship. But the order is the same. First we worship Durga. Here also, first we worship Durga, then Lakshmi, then Kali, then comes Saraswati. With a little gap it comes. That's about all. But the order is the same. So in the Navaratri, the order is that first you destroy all your negativities. That is the worship of Durga. Then you inculcate positive wealth. Wealth is not just the wealth of money. It is the wealth of qualities. That wealth of qualities is imbibed through worship of Lakshmi. Anything auspicious is Lakshmi. And then once you are prepared like this, you are ready for the knowledge of the self, which is Saraswati. So Saraswati is the goddess of all learning, but Saraswati has to be invoked for the learning of the self-knowledge also. So that is what we are doing here. When we are studying Gita or Upanishads, we are not doing it for an intellectual understanding of what the self is all about. It is a journey towards the truth. We are trying to open up our consciousness towards that ultimate reality, for which grace of Saraswati is important. And like every god or goddess, form of Saraswati is also very beautiful in its symbolism. Saraswati is white in color. She is clothed also in white sari always. White represents the ultimate purity. In this verse that we are doing, there is a term that comes as Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva itself is purity. Shuddha Sattva is very pure. So the whiteness makes us understand that as you gain the knowledge more and more and your thoughts become transparent as it were, it is represented by white. White is something which is always associated with purity. That is why even in various religions you have this white cloth as a uniform that is associated with religion or spirituality. Jain monks also wear that. In priests wear in the church. And even generally there is a white thing associated with many people. Swami Ramtirtha gives the explanation that why everybody likes white. Why is white considered as a pure thing? Vis-a-vis black. It has nothing to do with anybody's skin color or anything like that. It is to do with the color of the mind, if you want to call it. Why is it that a ill-gotten wealth is called as black money? Anything that is sold outside the market with a higher MRP is called as a black market. Why is black always associated with something impure, something corrupt? White is associated with something very pure. Because white functions on the phenomenon of giving. This is what Swami Ramtirtha says. White is when you have a disc of 7 colors, vibranic colors. When you rotate it fast against the light, what comes out is a white color. So, why does any object appear that color? The phenomenon of colors in physics says that an object appears in a particular color because it gives away that color. If an object appears green, it absorbs all other colors and gives away green. What it reflects, it has. If it reflects blue alone, it has blue. If it reflects a combination of certain things, that combination alone it has. Like that it is. What happens if it reflects away everything? It appears white. What happens if it absorbs everything? That is black. This is the phenomenon of colors. So if you are able to translate this with reference to a attitude of a person, mind of a person who always absorbs everything, withholds everything, takes everything, and there is no attitude of giving, he is considered black in the mental wise, in the mental state. Similarly, a person who is always giving away everything is pure person. He is considered a white in terms of his color of the mind. So this is represented in Saraswati, that the knowledge that we undertake, that we gain, must make our mind more and more pure. She is also having in this sloka Yakuntendu Dusharahara Tavla, it says she is having the flower Kunda. That is also white in color. Everything associated with Saraswati is such purity only. She has, like all gods and goddesses, four arms, where she holds Vedas in one hand, she holds Veena in two hands and plays Veena, and she has a Rudraksha Mala in the fourth hand. This again shows not just the picture of perfection, but also the path to perfection. The path to perfection in terms of introversion is combination of bhakti and jnana. One cannot be done without the other. Playing of Veena represents bhakti. The form of an art which is associated with heart is bhakti. Study of Vedas is jnanam. When these two are done together, you go into the state of meditation. Then this Shraddha, Bhakti, Dhyana, that's what it comes. It is through meditation that you realize the self. And interestingly, the vehicle that Saraswati has is Swan, Hamsa. This Hamsa is said to be a very, again, it's very pure and white in color, and it is said to have a very great quality. The quality of Swan is that it can, when you mix water and milk, it can separate the water and drink the milk. This is its quality. That is why in Ramakrishna mission also, I think the symbol is swan. What does it mean? It represents the water and milk cannot be segregated. How it can be segregated? It is just not possible. But imagine if somebody has to segregate it, what type of a discrimination it should have. The discrimination as though between reality and unreality. That is the ultimate discrimination or viveka. So the swan is associated. You see, all this is also very scientifically done. For Parvati, what is the vehicle? Lion it is. Isn't it? For Shakti, it is lion. For Saraswati, it is swan. It is very beautifully associated. For Shiva, it is Shivaratri is coming. Think about it. Shiva has Nandi. It is all again beautifully connected that way also. All this apart, of course, Saraswati's blessing is always required, and that is why right from a young age, children have to be invoked with shlokas of Saraswati, and they have to do it to get into more absorption of knowledge. But an interesting phenomenon about Saraswati, which is can be understood probably only in this country, because Saraswati worship is beyond the territory of India also. She is worshipped in Japan. She has a name. You can Google it out. I think Byzantine. Huh? Byzantine or something, I think is the name. We don't know the exact pronunciation because it's given in English. But all the South Asian countries which are influenced by Hinduism up to Japan, there is worship of Saraswati everywhere. But interestingly, even though feminine worship is prevalent all over India, Shakti Pitas are more than even Jyotirlinga and other kshetras. You have worship of Shakti from Baluchistan to Dhaka and from Kashmir to Sri Lanka and everywhere is in the form of Shakti Pita. I am saying you will hardly find temples dedicated for Saraswati. There are, but very few. Compared to Lakshmi, compared to Parvati, the worship of Saraswati is very, very less in terms of dedicated temples. There are sannidhis in big temples that are there. Similarly, dedicated temples for Lord Brahma is even rare. There is one in Pushkar, maybe there is one somewhere else. One or two like that only it is. There is a philosophical meaning also to it. But there is no explanation why Saraswati should not have temple, though there are stories for Lord Brahma, etc. The only reason that can be given is that this shows the sort of what you call as a pativrata dharma of a woman. When the husband doesn't have a temple as it is, she also doesn't have. This cannot be explained in a feminist type of audience or something like that. It's just not possible. That's why we said first these two are inseparable. That has to be first always remember. Only if we have a separation that Brahma is different and Saraswati is different, we'll have all this problem. It is not so. Brahma and Saraswati are one and the same. Saraswati will not go where order of Brahma is not there. It is beautifully said in Ramayana like that. In Ramayana, the story of Ramayana is going to be narrated by Lord Brahma. First, Narada comes to Valmiki. Then Saraswati comes in the form of a shloka. Then Lord Brahma comes. So it's a figuratively saying, how come Saraswati came into me? I thought, without my permission, how she will come? She has my permission to come only, he says. So Brahma and Saraswati, and Brahma narrates the story of Ramayana to Valmiki, and that's how it comes. So these tattva has to be understood at the tattva level. Devotion has to be understood at the level with which the form is associated. Only when the combination of this is there, there can be a true spiritual evolution. So Bhakti and Jnana has to go hand in hand. So Saraswati Puja must be undertaken with this idea to invoke her blessings for us to gain more knowledge of the self. All other knowledges which are also important for the world is through her grace only. Since we are dedicating ourselves to study of Gita and Upanishads, it is also through her grace. So that is what Saraswati Puja is meant for.
Poornam Adah Poornamidam Poornat Poornamudachyate Poornasya Poornamadaya Poornamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.